If you're such a person that doesn't know about hurricane season being a thing, that's like being a gastroenterologist and not knowing that colon cancer is a thing. How many times have you heard Donald Trump say, I'm gonna fill my cabinet and those around me with the best people, the smartest people? Yes, I'm a genius. Yes, I know words. I got the best words. Yeah, of course that, but also it's going to be the best people around me. It's just going to be just a celebration of expertise in the Trump White House. It's worse this time than last time. I have an article here. Let me just read you the headline. New FEMA chief, Federal Emergency Management Administration, new FEMA chief told staff he didn't know about Atlantic hurricane season. During a Monday briefing with staff, recently appointed FEMA administrator David Richardson reportedly said he hadn't been aware the U.S. has a hurricane season. This is embarrassing to me for a number of different reasons. One, this guy is a former United States Marine, brother in arms, and Marines, being an amphibious force, are in areas, stationed in areas. I was in North Carolina for a large portion of my enlistment. It's in areas where hurricanes happen. And if you pay any attention at all, you don't even have to be a climatologist or work for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. You don't have to be a meteorologist to know that they come in cycles. Typically, it's between July and around November that all of the hurricanes happen. That's hurricane season, David Richardson, you dipshit. So the man who's running the Federal Emergency Management Administration doesn't know that there's a hurricane season. With the Atlantic hurricane season officially underway and forecasts calling for an above-average year, the new head of FEMA appeared to discover in real time that hurricane season is, in fact, a thing. During a Monday briefing with staff, acting FEMA administrator David Richardson reportedly said he hadn't been aware the U.S. has a hurricane season, according to 4 sources familiar with the meeting. Whether it was meant as a joke, a misunderstanding, or a moment of pure discovery remains unclear. Why do we need to try to give this asshole the benefit of the doubt? Why is this outlet saying, we don't know if he was joking, when we have 4 previous years of a first administration and 3 months into the new one that seems like 4 years? We don't know whether it was a joke. We don't know whether he's actually not qualified. We know he is not. But the remark raised eyebrows inside the disaster agency, where hurricane season tends to be, ellipsis, kind of important. Richardson, who has led FEMA since May, offered no further clarification on the comment, but did confirm during the meeting that he would not be moving forward with a new disaster response plan. This came despite a May 15th town hall in which he told staff a plan would be ready by May 23rd. It's always 2 weeks away with these idiots. Instead, Richardson said he was deferring to the FEMA Review Council, a group created by President Donald Trump to avoid introducing any changes that might counter their recommendations. The council includes Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, governors, and other officials, according to the Reuters report. But Richardson's surprise at hurricane season wasn't the only eyebrow raiser. Now, I'm going to play a clip here. You may have seen this, but stick around because we're going to talk about it and I'm going to elicit your opinions on it. He had an all-hands meeting at FEMA. I believe it was all hands, but there's a large group of people. He's at a podium and he's introducing himself to his new employees, to his new branch. The FEMA, as an organization, has a wildly robust budget because of having to disseminate disaster aid to states when there's hurricanes. When Katrina happened, it was an all-out occupation of New Orleans, of Mississippi, of the Gulf Coast after Katrina. And that costs money. And that takes federal resources. And that takes bodies. And that takes brains to organize this. And if you're such a person that doesn't know about hurricane season being a thing. That's like being a gastroenterologist and not knowing that colon cancer is a thing. Speaking from experience, not being a gastroenterologist, but being someone who had colon cancer. At his first all-hands meeting in May, Richardson issued what some employees called a startling warning. Don't get in my way, according to a recording obtained by CBS News. Richardson warned staff that anyone who resisted his demands would not succeed. If you're one of those 20% of the people and you think those tactics and techniques are going to help you, they will not, because I will run right over you. I will achieve the president's intent. Now, I'm going to talk about that particular choice of words. He's going to achieve Donald Trump's intent. But first, here is that moment from this meeting that was captured and then delivered apparently to CBS News. Watch this.
In FEMA, not in DHS or the U.S. government writ large, but within FEMA, I and I alone speak for FEMA, okay? I am the president's representative at FEMA, and I am here to carry out President Trump's intent. That's why I'm here. Now, this is the tough part. Most of you know this by intuition, but nobody's ever told you this. When somebody comes to an organization and there's going to be change, it's recognized that everybody's somewhat nervous or somewhat concerned. Understandable. What's not known is that between 10 and 20% of personnel will embrace change. They'll welcome it. And they understand that change, handled right, is progress. And they understand that it's necessary, and they see that it needs to be made. That's somewhere between 10 and 20%. Something like 60%, they don't care. Right? They go along to get along. And I completely understand that. I've been in a situation before where I went along to get along. However, there's somewhere south of 20% that decide that they are going to get in the way of change. You can ask anybody that those 20% of the people are a problem. And they have to be sidelined. So don't get in my way if you're those 20% of the people. I know all the tricks, okay? I know them from lance corporals. I know them from staff sergeants, lieutenants, federal employees, my own employees, and indeed myself, okay? I played the games too. Obfuscation, delay, undermining. If you're one of those 20% of the people and you think those tactics and techniques are going to help you, they will not, because I will run right over you. I will achieve the president's intent.
The arrogance of this man who is so stupid, he didn't know that hurricane season was a thing. I and I alone speak for FEMA. I will implement Donald Trump's intent. Not agenda, not proclamations, not laws set forth by the Congress and signed by the president, not executive orders, his intent. And how is it that one deciphers and determines what Donald Trump's intent is when no one can ever answer when he says something stupid? Well, what he meant to say was, that is deciphering his intent, is having to read between the lines when Donald Trump says that Joe Biden is now a robotic clone and the actual Joe Biden was murdered by execution in 2020. What's his intent there, David Richardson, moron extraordinaire who doesn't know about hurricane season as the new acting interim FEMA nominee? Unconfirmed by the United States Senate. I would hope that the Senate would wake up and stop confirming Donald Trump's choices to run the government. Every single one of them should be denied. No vote, down vote. I hope that Democrats in the Senate have learned their lesson when every single one of them voted to confirm Marco Rubio, who has proven to be a disaster as Secretary of State. A Trump bootlicking, lapdog, ass-kissing, brown-nosing sycophant. And so's David Richardson. Look, this is something I've come around on. I used to think that if you were a Marine, you were a leader. And that's just not the case. Even among people who excel in the military, maybe more often people who do excel aren't leaders. They are just very good followers. And that is the case with David Richardson here. He's not a leader. He's a follower. He's a member of the cult of Donald Trump who has bent the knee and will, in obsequious fashion, administer the intent of Donald Trump, the conspiracy theory lunatic we have as president. I'm done. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line and leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail, not a series of fewer than 3-minute voicemails. 714-576-4054. And of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. If you choose to support this work monetarily, $2 a month is all it takes. $2. Click the join button below, become a channel member for just that, $2, or go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love and appreciate you very much. I'd love to see you on social media. I am at Dollemore just about everywhere. Not on Nazi Twitter, but everywhere else, at Dollemore. Be genuine. Take care of one another.